Right. I think that's kind of the biggest thing is just keep trying to do it. Whatever it is you're doing, don't stop if you love it,
It's
you know?
it's unfortunate that that's all it is, and there's no hacks or tricks or get arounds other than maybe a parent in the industry.
Y-
Um,
So
and
you
the
don't
same
have
this
10 quick tricks to get rich in LA? You don't got know
truly
any of them?
no. The only advice I can give is try as often as you can.
Yeah.
And that's the second part. The second part of that sentence is the hardest part. As often as you
Mm.
can. It's hard to
Mm.
try a lot and regularly,
Mm-hmm.
and that's huge advice. And hey, by the way, speaking of the podcast we're on, you just got to keep trying. Same goes for health.
Yeah.
Same goes for mental and physical health, right?
100%.
See, I'm playing in the theme.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tibersi.
What's up, everybody? Rudy Tibersi here, and I'm stoked you're stopping by. I'm excited for today's episode with Curt Neill, and I figure that's a really appropriate guest for this week because it's Oscar week, and I love the Oscars, and Curt is a real-life filmmaker. He has a movie on Amazon and a couple other places called Derek's Dead that I hadn't watched when we interviewed for the podcast, but I have watched. And if you stick around until the end, I will give you my review of Kurt's movie Derek's Dead, in addition to my Oscar 10 recap, because I just recently finished watching all the 10 movies for the Oscars, and I'll give you my picks and the picks that I think are going to win this Sunday at the big old ceremony, which for some reason I'm still super into. But what else I am super into is my friend Curt Neill and the conversation we had. We talk a lot about filmmaking in addition to comedy and health and kind of how he approaches all those things. But he's been doing a lot lately. You can find him on all the socials. Check out Curt Neill and listen to us as we catch up, as we do some diving, as we explore comedy and movies and the creative process and what it's like to make friends as an adult. I'll give you a hint. It's not very easy. Anyways, thank you for stopping by. I'm excited that you're going to hang out with me and Curt for a little while. So, without further ado, here is my conversation with Curt Neill. Hey, everybody. What is up? I am happy you're here today. I'm happy to be here with my guest today. This is a friend of mine. He is a filmmaker. He's on the socials. He's doing his thing here and there all over the place. He has been in Oregon. He's now in sunny California. So it's nice to get to catch up. Find him at his name. You can find him at his name everywhere. Please put your hands together for Curt Neill. Hey, it's in the
What's
house.
up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Is that how you enter every room? You're like, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
anywhere I go, fast food restaurant, pharmacy, you name it.
yeah.
Yo, 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 high fiving.
Kurt's in the house. How about
What's
them
up?
Big
What's up? What's up?
Macs?
Give me two.
Right on, Curt. How's it going, man? How you doing?
Yeah, good. Doing good. Yeah, back in LA and just plugging away. It's where I got a day job. That's fine. And then I'm making crap. So that's good.
Yeah, you're making crap. You're back in LA. It has called your name multiple times. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Mm-hmm. I
This
had.
how this is the what? Third time? Second? Fourth?
This
12th?
is this is second. Yeah, I came down after I graduated from Western Oregon University. Go Wolves.
Monmouth.
I graduated from there in '06. I came down right after that, and I was here
Nice.
for 13 years.
13 years.
And then I was not doing well
Oh
mentally,
no.
and I said I got to
Oh.
get the heck out of here. So I went back home to Oregon for a little while, and
Uh-huh.
then the pandemic started. So a little while turned into 2 years,
Yeah.
and then I got antsy, and I came back.
And you're
So
back. 13 years. So take us through a little bit of that first 13 years. What was it like for you, like fresh out of college?
mm-hmm,
You're going to La La Land.
mm-hmm.
You got stars in your eyes. You got big dreams, baby. What was the plan?
I didn't know. I was stupid. I didn't have a plan. I was scared. I was
Yeah.
lonely. I basically was. I did some comedy stuff in college, and I said, "Well, this is the only thing that feels worth trying at." I didn't have any other aspirations or goals
Yeah.
or like dream jobs. I didn't know. I was just kind of floating around going through the motions. But because I did some comedy stuff in college, I was like, well, this is a blast. And this is something I'm absolutely willing to work hard at. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess I'll just go to Los Angeles. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't have an idea, but I knew I wanted it to be, generally comedy. So I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of started doing stand up, and that was terrifying and
Yeah.
embarrassing. And
Good.
I hated most of it.
Great.
But eventually, I started to make friends, and you build a little community. You start having fun. You start getting more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You start being more willing to try different stuff. And through stand up, I met a bunch of filmmaker type folks.
Right.
Specifically, started with a lot of Emerson kids, if you know Emerson College.
Is that like
Um,
a well-to-do, hoity-toity kind of college, or what?
Not really. It's just like one of the go-to filmmaking colleges.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people I know in comedy, filmmaking, all of it. Went to Emerson. I know about 2,000 of them. And through meeting some of them and seeing some of the stuff they had done a lot of like sketches and web series and stuff on YouTube and just like fun
Mm-hmm.
videos that are just like there forever.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to do, something like that. So I connected with some of them and I was like, hey, can we do some of that? Can we make some stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And then sure enough, me and my pal Alicia Yaffe, we made a web series with a bunch of other Emerson friends.
Nice.
And it was just a blast and it was amazing and it turned out really good and it like
Yeah.
opened some doors for us. So I said,
Fun.
forget stand up. I want to
Uh-huh.
make shit.
Yeah.
And then I've just been trying to do that that was in 2010 that we made that.
Mm,
So it's been
Jeez.
14 years of just like, I'm going to keep trying to make stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to keep trying, I guess.
Right. I think that's kind of the biggest thing is just keep trying to do it. Whatever it is you're doing, don't stop if you love it,
It's
you know.
it's unfortunate that that's all it is, and there's no hacks or tricks or get arounds other than maybe uh, a parent in the industry.
You-
Um,
So
and
you
the
don't
same
have
this
10 quick tricks to get rich in LA? You don't got know
truly
any of them?
no. The only advice I can give is try as often as you
Yeah.
can, and that's the second part. The second part of that sentence is the hardest part. As often as you
Mm.
can. It's hard to try a lot and regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge advice. And hey, by the way, speaking of the podcast we're on, you just got to keep trying. Same goes for health.
Yeah.
Same goes for mental and physical health, right?
100%.
See, I'm playing in the theme.
You got it, man. You figured it out. You put stuff together. But that is literally life. It's like
Yeah,
you
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 just
have to
gotta wake
do it
up and go do it. And
until you're dead.
yeah,
And for some people that happens earlier and some people that happens later. Like it's not about like I try not to be super results oriented. I try
hmm
to be super process oriented. I love the
yeah.
process. I love nerding out about process and that kind of stuff. Are you
Well,
more results driven or process driven?
a little bit of both, and thankfully, it's leaned more towards both. I think it used to be all about results. Like I got to do something now. I got to make something, and it's got to be good. And if it's not, I'm a failure.
Mm-hmm.
These days I am much more enjoying the process. It's fun to just stay consistent, to be steady, and just kind of churn some stuff out.
Yeah.
Um, because staying active with all of it, writing, producing, which is with my dumb little shit. It's just like who's free on this Sunday? All right,
Mm-hmm.
let's go. Let's have some fun. Like
Yeah.
staying consistent with all that, the writing, the producing, the acting, the editing, and you post and you share and you get feedback and then you do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the feedback now, the positive or negative, is now it has much less importance, which is good
Mm.
because then I'm just going.
Yeah.
And I've found, again, to bring it back to the whole theme of the podcast about creative stuff and health stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's very annoying that, like, honestly, if you just work at it and keep working at it, you'll
Mm-hmm.
be happier. You'll feel more
Yeah.
fulfilled if you actually just
Mm-hmm.
keep trying. Just keep
Yeah.
trying. And again,
Yep.
it's not about results. If you keep trying and you stick with it, be it an exercise routine or a creative outlet, if you just stick with it, you'll generally be happier.
To- totally.
Positive results are always ideal, but if you just keep at it, you'll be happier day to day.
Yeah, find the things that you enjoy putting your time, energy, and effort into. Like
Yeah.
what do you believe in and how is what you're doing related to that?
Right.
It's like, well, okay, well, dropping in deep, why do you make film? You made a movie, Derek's Dead. You're making shorts that you're putting out all the time with great friggin' cast members. You'll do like videos and shorts with people I've seen on Dave and on
Mm-hmm.
Comedy Central and on late night shows and all this
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. And it's just you and this person kind of like going back and forth. How much, I guess, kind of couple questions. How much of it is scripted, and what is your like, what is your like oomph for it? Like, what's the reason behind it?
It's a good question. The second one I'm not trying to answer. I'll answer the first one to get out of the
Yeah.
way. It's probably these days it's probably like 75% scripted, 60 to 75% scripted. Like we have a
Mm-hmm.
pretty,
For sure.
finished script for the most part.
Yeah.
And we do stick to a lot of the same words, but I never need anyone or want anyone to actually say the words exactly as they're written.
For sure.
And part of that comes from like I'm self-aware enough to know that I can really only write in my voice, my Curt
Mm-hmm.
Neill's out loud voice.
Mm-hmm.
So all the other characters I write are loosely in my voice too.
Right.
So why would I make everyone else in this stuff? Because I'm starring in everything I make too. So why would I make everyone else in this thing speak like me?
Yeah.
When I write it out and it's a bunch of characters that sound just like me, but you understand what's supposed to happen in the scene, you can then kind of change the words in whatever way you want
Mm-hmm.
and still get out all the stuff I want to accomplish. And on top of that, because I very specifically and intentionally always shoot with 2 cameras,
Okay.
doing that and then allowing the other actors to say it however they want,
Mm-hmm.
it makes both our performances that much more grounded and sincere and realistic, because
For
we're
sure.
actually just kind of talking off each other. We're not repeating memorized lines of
Right.
dialogue.
Right. So do you just like cold call your friends or like people you've met once, or is it like mostly folks you have a pretty good relationship with, or just people you've met once or twice in the industry? How does that kind of work for you?
It goes both ways. More often than not, it is friends. It is someone I am close to, and I have their phone number, and I can text
Mm-hmm.
them, and
Yeah.
it shows up as Curt Neill when that comes in.
Yeah.
More often than not, it's that. But especially these days, now that I've gotten a little more confident and I feel like my stuff is hitting a little harder, I reach
Mm-hmm.
out to people I know less, people
Right.
I have to DM on Instagram.
Right.
But I'll still get responses,
Yeah.
and some of them
Yeah.
say yes.
That's
But more
awesome.
often than not, it is. Even then, even the people I'm reaching out to that I don't necessarily know that well, we still know each other. We're still acquaintances,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not a stranger necessarily. I don't know if I've ever outright approached a stranger about anything,
Yeah.
about acting in anything, but
Yeah.
it's usually people I at least barely know.
Yeah, that's basically this podcast too. I barely know you.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, kind of.
Well, I mean, we were friends for a couple years when you were here, and we just kind of hit it off. I graduated from college same year as you did, so we're like same age. We're from the Willamette Valley, both dreaming, and you
And
know,
we might have played 7-on-7 football against each other
yeah, we might have, you know,
when you were
done.
snapping to Chad Carpenter.
Yeah, back in the day, deep cuts.
Yeah.
Who was your quarterback?
My quarterback I had 2, Nathan Keith and Barry Humphrey.
There
But
you
I
go.
always remember Chad because Chad's mom was my first grade teacher, second grade teacher.
Oh,
So
oh
that's how
yeah.
I always remember who Chad Carpenter is. And we talked about it once. And I was like, Chad Carpenter? You just oh, yeah.
I know Mrs. Carpenter. Yeah.
Mhm.
I stayed at their house like all the time as a kid. You know what I mean? Like
That's awesome.
we were always over there just hanging out and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so funny
she was
to
great.
think that like friends' moms were other kids' teachers and stuff.
Yeah, it's really strange. I have that now. My older brother is a teacher at our old high school.
Oh yeah.
And he's teaching the children of people I graduated with. And it's very confusing.
Yeah. I had a friend, a classmate who would like go out for drinks with a former teacher from our high school, like to get the couple of the guys going out
Strange.
together. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's a
okay,
little weird.
well, I don't know if I'd do that, but
I'm not sure I would either.
yeah. So you are doing all this stuff on your own, right? It's
Mhm.
Curt Neill Productions.
Loosely, yeah, mostly.
Yeah. As far as like you're the engine that makes it go.
Yeah, yeah.
What are the parts of it that you're like super into, and what are the parts of it that are like, oh gosh, I gotta edit today, or I gotta write, or what are the ones that are the hardest for you?
Hardest is the actual physical type writing. I say it like that because I do kind of think it out a lot in my head before I actually get to the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual writing is like very annoying and like, okay, we gotta get this shit out of the way. And It can be even more annoying because as you actually start to type it out, you realize it doesn't actually work, or you're missing something, and you're like, ah, shit, this idea is
Right.
actually no good. I thought I had it ready to go. So that's never fun. Organizing is never fun. Even just trying to get 5 people together for 3 hours is a fucking pain.
It's a lot. It takes so much
Loosely,
work.
no, I was gonna say same for like finding a place to shoot, but I actually do really enjoy like little kind of run and gun location scouting.
Uh-huh.
Just like, oh, I know this guy owns a bar. Maybe we could go shoot in his bar. That
Yeah.
stuff is fun. That stuff's fun. Thinking, like processing the ideas mentally is really fun. The acting is really fun. I've started to now really enjoy the editing.
Okay.
Directing, I still don't think I know what I'm doing, so that's a little more stressful, anxiety inducing. But I'm getting better, I think.
So what are the skills that you want to enhance as a director, or what do you think skills that are necessary for directing are?
Yeah, that's what's been interesting, especially in these last couple of years. I've been more productive than ever. And like I was saying, like actually finally for the first real time, consistently making stuff, no
Mm-hmm.
matter how kind of small and mundane the stuff is,
Mm-hmm.
consistently making stuff that I'm writing, directing, and editing. I'm actually finally like learning some stuff, I think.
Mm.
And simultaneously I'm watching other stuff and things I like, and I just the way stuff is starting to click for me. I hope I get this out right without rambling too far, but just the way
Of
stuff
course.
is starting to click for me as I watch various movies or TV shows. I understand stuff now. I'm understanding why they shot it like this or why they did it like, oh, that's cool. They started here and then they wrapped around, and then now they're looking at the other guy, but it was all one movement. Interesting. Just
Mm-hmm.
learning different little ways that you can shoot shit instead
Yeah.
of just 2 people looking at each other with 2 cameras pointing at each of them, which is
Right.
all I've done for half the time I've been making stuff.
Yeah.
Learning different ways to shoot stuff and keep movement going. And capture the space well, and
Mm.
just a little bit of loose blocking, light blocking. Someone starts here and then they move over here, and just to keep the moment alive and fresh and not stale. Of 2 people, like if anyone
Mm-hmm.
listening goes and watches my movie Derek's Dead, notice how
Mm-hmm.
much every scene is 1 or 2 to 3 people standing still talking to each other, and then we just cut
Right.
to a different room, and now
Yeah.
it's 2 people looking at each other, talking to each other.
And that's
So
because you didn't really
I had
know.
no fucking idea. All I knew was like I I knew I had like a funny enough voice to make a kind of funny movie. I knew the
Yeah.
dialogue and the performances would be kind of surprisingly funny.
Yeah.
And I had no illusions about how good the movie would look or how well it would be made. I just
Right.
knew I could make something kind of funny, and that
Right.
was good enough. Um,
And do you feel like you succeeded in that?
yes, it's definitely kind of funny, like a
Good.
little funnier than it should be.
Yeah.
It's a piece of shit otherwise. It's stupid. It's
Yeah.
like poorly made and like
Right.
too short, and like
Yeah.
it just does not, the story doesn't flow very well, and I don't know. There's a lot of
But
things to it.
guess what? You freaking made it.
I did
You
make
made
it. It's
you made that
fine.
movie. Yeah.
The fact that it's uniquely funny makes it fine overall.
Yeah.
And like I'm proud of it for sure, because a lot of people have done that. A lot of people have tried
Mm.
to make a dumb nothing little movie for a few bucks, and most of them aren't very good.
Yeah.
And mine's like not terrible.
Yeah. You know
So
what?
that's a success story.
I still haven't watched it. I feel like a dick.
It's fine.
I kept meaning. I've kept
It's
on
73
meaning to
minutes.
watch.
That's a big commitment.
It can be. Yeah. That's like
Yeah.
the length of this podcast.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I will watch it, but
Sure.
those things that you're saying are exactly pretty much how I felt and feel about my comedy special. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, I made it. Is it the world's best stand-up comedy special? No, it is not. But I don't give a shit. I made it because I've done comedy. I am a comedian, and I wanted a little tiny thing in the universe that said
Mhm.
Rudy Tibersi is a comedian, and that's it.
Permanent. It's there. You can watch it at any time, forever,
Yeah.
and it will live there. It's that's what made making stuff so much more worth it to me than stand up. Because like we can put a lot of work into this. We can make sure it's as good as it can be. We can perfect
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then it will exist forever.
Mm-hmm.
A great stand-up set is very special and amazing,
Mm.
but it's a blip. It's
Yeah.
gone and it's forgotten. Even you could talk to the audience a week later and they probably forgot most of it.
And I think that's probably why so many stand-ups are left spinning their wheels for so many years, because you can be the most hilarious comic on the friggin' circuit and nobody knows who you are, you know? It's
Yeah,
like it took Tig Notaro humongous tragedy for her to become known by
right.
by more than a few people or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of nuts how it just takes so much time, so much effort. Like you said, it's just about getting up and doing it.
Hmm.
What are you getting up and doing these days? I'm recording videos every day. I'm doing a 5-minute workout. Like I'm recording a workout video. Basically, I'm doing one a day. I'm going to do it all year, and it's so much work, and nobody has seen any of them so far. But I don't really care
Yeah.
because it's like I believe in what I'm doing, and I have to figure out like the steps to take with it and the
Hmm.
things to do with it. But it just gets you so much experience, so many
Hmm.
XP points, you know? So
For
it's like
sure.
it feels good, and I would love to find an audience. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Is that like your goal? Is it like, yeah, what are your goals with filmmaking these days? Like what are you looking to do? Or like if you could put all your energy into one thing and it could be a career or whatever, a path, what would you love most to focus on?
I guess, dream scenario would
Have you
kind
seen
of.
Dream Scenario?
I no, I haven't actually.
It's good. It's
Yeah,
worth watch. Yeah.
I've heard that actually. Um, I guess the dream scenario would be I'm a working actor, and once every couple of years, I make my own little movie.
Yeah.
Simple little indie thing for not many bucks,
Right.
but I can do it because I have a little pull and maybe even have a little of my own money.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be the ideal scenario. Uh, but there's so many different variations of it that would be fine. Like I'm even like I was making the things I've been churning out lately are just these little videos I've been posting on Instagram and YouTube. But this
Mm-hmm.
year I finally took the dive and I'm cutting them vertical for TikTok. I'm like, oh, try TikTok, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of enjoying it, and it's been fun. And I can see I'm like TikTok, especially more than the other social media sites, you can really see how the algorithm works, and you're like, oh,
Mm.
so if I put this video out and I get 50 likes, next time I post a video, whether those people followed me or not, that video
Uh-huh.
might be promoted to them, and then I get more likes, and now all these
Mm-hmm.
people are getting okay, and it's become exciting. I've been really surprised by how much I'm enjoying diving into TikTok. So I'm even now envisioning another version of like a I absolutely uh, nice scenario
Mm-hmm.
where I just get to make shit like that for social media
Yeah.
and get a little money here and
Right.
there for fucking make a little, do a spot for Soylent or some bullshit, and make little
Totally.
commercials and whatever. If you have enough followers, you can even get paid out for just having people on the apps. So just dumb little shit like that. Like I would be absolutely if I could do that. If I could make $75,000 a year making
Right.
my dumb little videos for social media, that would be fantastic.
That would be amazing. I
That'd be
know
the most money I've ever made in my life.
I feel almost exactly the same way. In so
Yeah,
many, it's just like I want to continue to do the things I love, and I would love
if
also
they pay the bills, just the
to
bills.
pay the bills. Yes,
I don't
that's
need
what I
rich. I
want.
don't need rich. I need like I want to be able to. I want my own apartment, and I want to be able to go back to Oregon more than twice a year.
Yeah,
That's about it.
exactly. And I sometimes I wonder if those kind of aspirations hold me or other people back. Just like
Yeah, maybe we're setting the bar too low for ourselves or something.
yeah, it's like, but at the same time, you're like, I got to take the step that's in front of me. And that's a lot closer
Yeah,
than, putting out 3 movies, full length features, or whatever.
I mean, it can also be said, at least in my example, when they're like two two examples on the same spectrum or whatever, you could definitely just kind of try for the dream one, and then
Hmm.
like what is the corny shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars, or some bullshit, whatever that sentence is.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense. The stars are
It
like
doesn't
way further
actually,
away.
and yeah, some of them are a lot farther away. So something like that, yeah, okay. Let's actually like The Secret. Let's do it The Secret style. Like
Yeah,
I'm going to be a working actor who gets to make a movie every 3 years.
yeah,
Here we go.
yeah.
And then who knows? All of a sudden, I am just like making 100,000 on TikTok, and I'm happy.
That's not a ridiculous aspiration either. Like working actor who gets to make your own film every few years. Like that's totally
That's
doable.
not that far fetched. That's Jake Johnson. That's my guy.
Yeah. Uh,
But
yeah.
that is funny. I do think about The Secret a lot now, as what at least as
I love
what
it.
I remember of it. I think like the way they presented it is really dumb, but the general idea of like know what you want and like have it in your mind as a goal, that makes sense because then you're gonna start to try to do the
Mm,
things that could get you there. Which is the same
mm-hmm.
as The Secret isn't like I want a Ferrari, I want a Ferrari, I want a Ferrari, and then it just shows up. If you just keep thinking
Mm-mm.
about how you want a Ferrari, you're gonna figure out how to get a Ferrari.
Yeah. And you're
That's
gonna
The Secret.
totally. It's the slug bug game. The reason you see so many slug bugs
You're
when
looking
you're
for them.
playing the game is because you're looking for them.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's like that's when it's all about vibrations, right? To use a new agey term, it's
get
about
them.
like, what am I putting out there? What are
Yeah.
the things I'm focusing on? Where is my energy going? And if your energy is going into like anxiety induced worry about how am I going to survive, it's hard to make good comedy. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
make a short that's worth much,
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're like, you know what, I wrote it down. I'm going to be a personal trainer and podcaster because I believe in the power of humor, health, laughter, and connection. And
There we go.
those are my values. And I am those things now. I'm not making any money. Nobody knows who I am, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm doing those things, and those are still my values that I hold dear, that I
yeah,
believe are worthwhile.
that's
And
awesome.
if I have a pursuit, that's a worthy one for me. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
that's kind of how I see it.
that's
Uh,
nice. That's real nice.
and so yeah, that's why I try to figure out or ask other people about why they do what they want to do and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Uh, I float all over the place in this podcast, and I tend to talk about artistic pursuits for half of it or whatever with people.
sure.
But I am super interested in people's exercise and workout regimens. And when I reached out to you, you're like, I don't go to the gym at all. I was like, I don't care. You like play basketball, right? You play
Mm-hmm.
sports or whatever. So it's like, what is your gym been this week, whether it's an actual gym or not?
This week,
Or
starting Sunday. When did the week start?
it could have, I don't know, this month,
Yeah,
year, whatever.
it's not much. It's not much. I've been trying to get back consistently playing some basketball. I have
Uh-huh.
two pickup games a week I can join. So I did those this past weekend, Friday and Saturday.
Heck yeah. How'd it
And then
feel?
it felt pretty good. I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting better. I think at 39.
Oh, nice.
And it's just fun. I just love. That's why I've never gone to the gym. I've only ever played sports, and
Uh-huh.
for a lot of my life they work all the time.
Yeah.
So I never needed to do the gym, and now it's just like this thing. Like I just can't even imagine it. It sounds so
Mm,
like the last thing I want to do. It sounds like a waste of money to me. It sounds like I
yeah.
would not do it right.
Yeah.
I've never. We like took some weight. We took weightlifting kind of seriously in high school when I was a football player. But
Right.
other than that, I've never done like workout. It's always been
Uh-huh.
just sports, and I've loved every second of it. And I've
Uh-huh.
been for a long time now. I've been dreading like this eventual day when I probably can't like run around, and that's got me really
Mm-hmm.
bummed and scared. Like it's already maybe happening. I used to pitch in baseball, and
Yeah.
there's adult baseball leagues out here, and I played in one 5 or so years ago, and I have some friends on one. I've been trying to get on, and I'm like, hey, I'm a pitcher. I'm a lefty.
Yeah.
They brought me out for like a scrimmage a couple weekends ago, and we were like everybody's playing all the positions. So I ended up at second base as a left-hander, and I was like, "What am I doing? This doesn't feel right." But then there was an opportunity to turn to double play, and I got really
Ooh.
excited. So I caught
Yeah.
the ball and I threw it to first as hard as I could, and I really messed my shoulder up.
Ah,
And I'm like,
hate
I'm
it.
worried I maybe won't be able to pitch anymore. So, long story short, I'm getting scared for when I can't just play sports and pretend it's fine
Yeah.
that I don't exercise otherwise.
So what would it take for you to start an exercise regimen or routine? Like, what would it be? A doctor? Would it be like not feeling your left arm? What would have to happen?
A doctor maybe could convince me. It's probably more likely it will require like a significant injury or like
Yeah.
significant consistent pain every time I do something.
Yeah.
It honestly might take that, and I'm honestly fine with that.
I'm
Because
okay with that.
it won't be like don't run on this or you'll never walk again. Like if it's something like that, I'm not gonna risk it. But if it's just like I get really sore or I got this ankle thing, like I'm gonna push through that as long as possible.
Yeah.
Same with this shoulder thing. That was 2 weeks ago, and then yet last night I played softball. I play on a slow pitch softball team.
Oh, okay.
So like I was testing it out. First time I threw anything since that throw 2 weeks ago, and it hurt still.
Oh,
But
man.
I was like, no, I just got to stretch it out. I got to loosen it back up. I got to work it out. It's like a knot I got to work out. Really risking it. And I even threw it really hard once and it hurt again. So I'm really nervous. But that won't affect basketball. And then there's the other thing is like, even once I can't do football, like throw baseballs or play basketball, I could still do like racquetball or like pickleball or just golf. Like there's other sports that you can do once you can't move as well. So I think it'd be good for a while. And then I should mention my job. I got this delivery job for one of these. It's called Every Table, one of these companies that has like the pre-made meals that we have all these different places deliveries to make. So I'm a delivery guy. So I'm like doing a lot of like light lifting throughout my work day. So like the job itself is a bit of a workout, and I trick myself into thinking that because it's physical enough, it's okay that I don't exercise outside of basketball once a week.
What do you think of like a weekly yoga class? Does that hold any appeal to you at all?
Not yet, but I keep trying to convince myself I should try yoga because I've always had terrible like flexibility. I've always had back stuff. So I'm sure yoga would be great for me, and that would be something I bet I'd be willing to indulge once I can't play basketball anymore or something like that. I think that's when I'll pick it up. Or when I just have more free time. That's been the other thing that's been tough. I have found a perfect groove of like, I got this job that pays the bills and also allows enough free time and energy to stay creative. But it's a real specific science, a real exact science, the way I have to split up my day and still make sure to find those couple hours to put in some creativity every day.
Right.
To try to also sneak in some exercise, I think would completely ruin it. I would think it would just exhaust me enough that I would have no energy to be creative. So I'm like, I can't risk wasting that 30 minutes or hour or whatever it would technically take up. I can't risk it.
Well, that's what I think adding any kind of physical regimen into your life requires, is a reprioritization. And you have to adjust things here and there. And for me, it's always been like, I've never really had good health care, and I believe in the power of exercise and lifting weights, and it's very preventative for me. And I'm just love dropping into my body because I'm in my head so much. And when I can move around, when I can throw some weight around, or when I can do some yoga or whatever it is, like I just don't have to think. And it feels so good.
That's what sports have always been too. You know, basketball especially is like that. I used to do a lot more recreational, like kind of flag or touch football, and that stuff, just running around and trying to catch a thing or stop somebody or whatever. Like I'm not thinking about shit. I'm just fucking running, and I'm trying to catch a thing or I'm trying to make a play. And it's just like you're in it and you're moving, and there's nothing else on your mind, and if you're lucky, you're also like having fun with friends and like goofing around. So that's why sports have always done it for me.
Yeah, like takes us back to some primal aspect of ourselves where we're like ducking and dodging and throwing and like
hustling.
we gotta get that tiger. We're hustling. Yeah, we gotta protect our family. We gotta do our jobs, and that was people's jobs. Man,
it's like a manhood thing in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it feels great. Yeah. Man, there is something about it, right? And I love it. And there has been a part of me recently, like at the gym, I take my headphones out so much more. I used to just have big old headphones on at the gym, in the zone, boom, getting it done. And I love that. I love when I can just get lost in a workout. I beat myself to crap when I go to the gym and I put headphones on because I literally don't want to stop. And if you're listening to music, it's been shown that you will do things for longer. You will walk for longer. You will work out for longer if you're listening to music while you're doing it.
I buy that.
And then after I got certified as a personal trainer, I kind of started and watching other personal trainers and listening to their input. One guy was like, take your headphones off when you're at the gym. And I did. And it's opened up the gym so much more. I feel like myself so much more. I invited several people from the gym to a comedy show on Friday, Tess Parker's show. And it was so much fun. She's going to be on the podcast next week, which I'm super stoked about. She's an Eagles fan too. I was so
Yeah,
stoked to find out she was an Eagles fan. Like I did an
her.
Eagles joke on
Wow.
stage,
Yeah.
and afterward, yeah, it was. And then there were freaking Cowboys fans in the. Oh my gosh,
If you,
it was
yeah, if
it
you,
was ridiculous.
if you're gonna marry Sean Green, you gotta become an Eagles fan.
Is
I do
he's
not.
a
I am confident she was not an Eagles fan before she got together with Sean Green.
that is. She said, "Yeah, I married into it.
She
I married
definitely
into
married
it."
into it. She married
Yeah.
into it hard.
I don't know, Sean. Is he a comedian as
He's a
well?
comedian. Yeah, I don't think he performs as much these days. He's got a really successful sports gambling podcast network. I think that's
Okay.
exactly what it's called, Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and it's doing really well.
Awesome. Yeah.
He's like a genius. He's right all the time.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. But it's just so fun because just like comedy, whenever you find someone who's like into the same physical stuff as you are,
Mm-hmm.
there's an immediate connection, and you're
Yeah.
like kind of a crew already. You're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is my hoopster buddy. Have you guys played together? No, but we talked about basketball for 3 hours straight.
I've got a lot of friends that I only know through playing against sports, playing against
Y-
bat. Like I'll like go out to parties or different things, and I'll see someone. I'm like, oh, I know that guy from basketball. What's up, man? Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Just like just in passing or whatever. But it's always like it's like an old friend energy, even though all we do is just play ball together once or twice a month. We never
Yeah.
talk otherwise. And there's no actual connection, but the connection from the game is like it's there.
And totally, it's the same way I feel at the gym with some people. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we just sweat near each other, and I like that. I
Yeah.
like your pheromones, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. It's
And
nice.
so it is really nice, and it's made the gym so much more welcoming because
Sure.
there have been times at gyms when I haven't felt welcome. You know how it is when you walk into a new place and everybody's doing their thing, and you're like, oh, where do I sit in this room now?
Yeah.
It's like, go stand in the corner. You can shoot a 3 twice.
Yeah. Well, play a little defense, you'll be all right.
Yeah, right. Everybody loves a good defender.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like a community thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that where you find your community these days, or where are you finding your community? How are you connecting with others?
It is sports a lot. Yeah, basketball and the softball team has been a big part of it. Comedy, of course. There's so many different like little pockets that I'm like loosely connected to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got my more filmmaker-y friends,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like the pure stand-up friends, and then there's kind of
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of vague other UCB people or
Yeah.
whatever, these people over here. There's all these little pockets and all these little cliques, and now even more so a bunch of little tight-knit cliques that kind of strengthened and kind of separated through COVID. Everybody really synced up with their tight 5 to 10 people.
Right.
And like now that the pandemic is quote unquote over, people are still in those little groups. People don't branch out as much as they used to. And because I was gone when that tightening of the small cliques happened, because I was out of town back in Oregon, hiding in Pleasant Hill, Oregon with my parents,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in any of those little tight knit groups now. So like I'm back in town, and I still know all these people. I have all these friends, but I'm not like a proper true member of any of the little cliques.
Right.
So I feel weirdly like in the middle of all these little cliques, and I can kind of pop into them, which is nice. But I do wish I was like a real part of one.
Yeah.
So it's been a little interesting since you bring it up. It's been a little interesting community wise, and just like it's confusing. It's like I know so many people. I have a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
But like when it's like I want to do something fun now. Who am I texting? I'm like, oh well, he's got the wife and kid, and he's busy.
Yeah.
And he's probably out with those guys that he hangs out with. Like I don't have like a crew like a true everyday crew. I've got like tight friends and people I text a lot and stuff. But like even my best friends over text are like they got their own stuff going on, and it's just we're at least on different schedules. So it's like
totally.
It's been hard. It's been a little hard to kind of reestablish a proper community.
Yeah, it definitely takes time and effort. It takes
Yeah.
intention. It
Yeah.
takes real intention. I've got like questions on the wall that I like am faced with every day. Like, how do I want to interact with other people? Who do I want to be as a person? Like, I have to actually think about those things because otherwise I'm just going to pet my cats all day. I'm just going to watch movies and work out. I'm going to go to an open mic here and there or do a show. And so it's like no, I have to actually put in some work and energy into that stuff. I
Right.
I
And that's
notice a lot. Go for it.
yeah. I was just saying that's the hard. I think that's the hard part for a lot of us in comedy. Like I've always assumed that anyone who decides to get into comedy is already dealing with some serious like self-hatred and fucking overthinking and obsessiveness and anxiety and you know
Yeah.
all insecurity, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We all got to be a little nuts to need validation that badly, that frequently
Mm-hmm.
from as many people as possible.
Right.
So it's simultaneously, yeah, it's really easy to assume people don't like you because they're not asking you to hang out,
Yeah.
when
Uh,
it wouldn't be that hard to ask them to hang out, and they very likely will say yes if they're free. So
totally.
it's easy to do that. It's easy to sit around like nobody's texting me, nobody's like reaching out to
Yep.
me, nobody invited me to the thing. It's like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't check in either. You didn't ask them if they want to get a coffee or a beer or whatever.
Totally.
And
And
it's weirdly hard and easy at the same time. It's technically very easy to text two buddies you want to grab a beer,
yeah,
but it's also hard.
it's super hard for
It's
some
embarrassing.
weird reason.
It's like
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah. You're like, hey guys, wanna hang out
Hey,
like
sorry,
friends?
I know you're my two best friends, but like I don't know, would you want to get like a beer or something?
Do you want to spend like a little bit of quality time with just me for no good reason?
Asking your closest friends to go get a couple beers is like asking some girl you barely know out on a date. It's like that. They're the same level of vulnerable.
It really does feel like it. And so it's like when I meet a person like you and it's like, oh, nice. Single guy, played football, same age,
Here we go.
back in Oregon,
Yeah,
comedy. It's like, oh, boom, 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 boom. So it's like,
all the
okay,
boxes.
easy to drop in.
Yeah,
and and yet it's so hard at the same time, and that's one of the main reasons I actually started the podcast, is because I'm so much more interested in deepening relationships than widening them.
sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, yes, I do want to have people to listen to the podcast and watch the content that I put out there, because I think there is value in that, and I want people to appreciate that, but I also just want to spend an hour with somebody.
Yeah,
You know, that's so much more interesting and fulfilling to me, because I'd rather get to know a person on a human level than just whatever these other multitude of relationships might be.
sure. Yeah,
Now, I notice you a lot in your work, in your pieces. I There's a lot of like mental health stuff, a lot of anxiety in there, like a lot of like questioning. Do you, because now you said you're like working on stuff for, you're repurposing for TikTok and that kind of stuff.
right.
How are you feeling looking back at older pieces, older skits? What do you call videos?
Yeah,
How are you feeling looking at some of your older work now? And it's not that old. It's from like the last 2 years.
yeah. The stuff I've been repurposing for TikTok very recently is just stuff from like last year.
Mm,
But to better answer your question, if I were to go back and look at stuff from like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I can definitely go back. It's interesting. Most of it is not good,
hmm
but it's not. That's not exactly. That doesn't feel self-deprecating to say that. I'm not
hmm
saying like I sucked. I didn't know what I was doing. It's just like, yeah, I was. I don't know. I was fucking around. I didn't know what I was doing, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So I can go back and look at stuff and like, man, why is this so long? Why am I still in this scene? Why didn't I trim this? Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Get us somewhere else. But add a second scene, fucking inside or something. Like just fucking three guys sitting on the lawn for 5 minutes. It's not worth it. It's
Yeah.
not good. That's boring. You lost him a minute and a half in, and
Yeah.
just it's interesting because it is a lot of nitpicking and criticizing, but it's also like it's also fun or interesting in its own way because it is a clear example of how I've progressed and how I've learned and how I've grown as a filmmaker or whatever. I could go back and like, oh, that was it. 90
hmm
seconds. That's where I lost him. That's where I should have cut it. That's where I should have jumped. Why am I
hmm
doing this whole chunk here? I didn't need that. I could have cut out those 45 seconds right there.
Yeah.
You got to move around a little more of this. You know. So as
Mm.
I watch the old stuff and critique it, it's almost more inspiring in a way. It's inspiring
Mm.
that I'm critiquing because now it's reiterating um,
Reiterating?
reiterating how much I know now, how confident I am
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm
You're
growing.
like,
I'm learning. I'm better. I'm better.
yeah. Kurt today would have made a few changes on this, and
Yeah.
you're it's not as close to you. You're not as precious with this stuff, and
Right.
so like it's harder to make those cuts, kill your darlings, right? And
Right.
so it's like it's just so much harder when those darlings you've just birthed them, and you're still like just getting it out there,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's also hard because it's like you also want to commit to your vision, and sometimes your vision doesn't fit with TikTok.
Right. That's what I've been surprised by, at least so far. I mean, I'm still, it's not like I'm doing crazy numbers, but like people are responding to some of it, and I'm surprised by that because first I just posted them all in full, and they're all like 5 minutes. And I'm like, that's got to be so long for TikTok. But
Yeah.
people are watching it, and some people are watching the whole thing, and then I'm going to go back and cut them up and find little shorter weird moments, and whatever. But yeah, I forget what my point even was. It's just I've been surprised that it's kind of makes some sense, and it kind of works. It kind of plays, and it's fun to think about. It's fun to think about how I could run with that a little bit further.
Totally. Are you still working on longer form content? Do you have any scripts you're working on or anything like that?
Yeah. So I just I made a short with a friend last year that's almost done that we'll show around where we can and then eventually make public. And then I'm developing another short film with a pal from my softball team because I had a terrible accident. Yeah, so that was fun. And then I'm developing a couple other shorts with a couple other friends. And I got about, I'm opening up a document if it'll let me. I got about 37 pages at the moment of a movie I'm going to try to make this year.
There you go. Comedy?
Yeah, it's a lot of like, we just found out a friend of ours, her aunt owns this really cool like compound in Joshua Tree that sleeps like 10 people and it's all secluded. So I'm like, oh, can we shoot there?
We could make a movie there.
And once the aunt said yes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to make a movie.
That sounds very Duplass style.
Oh yeah, I'm big in that into that loose approach. Sometimes they get really obnoxious and annoying, especially the Mark. No, sorry. Hey, if you're listening,
sorry, Mark.
Big fan. But shut up on Twitter. A little bit. No, I loosely am like that group of guys and agree with theirs. Like, what's his name? There's another guy that talks like that a lot. Like, you just got to go out with friends and a couple of iPhones and just do it. And it's like, kind of. But you still need a lot of help. You do need some resources. It's not that fucking easy. Like, you still got to know what you're doing. You still need some help. You still need a lot of favors. You still need time and energy. And a lot of people don't have that in abundance.
Yeah.
So some of those guys get a real obnoxious. But the general idea of like, you just got to fucking go. It's more specific than what we were talking about earlier about staying consistent. I have found that it's nice and exciting and almost necessary to get to a point where it's like, I've got this idea. I'm excited about it. I have to make it. I have to. And it's got to be now. It's got to be as soon as possible. We have to go. And if you lose that, if you give up on that, like how, when, let's go. If you lose that, it's dead and gone forever. You're never going to make it happen. You have to stay in that mindset of like, this is good and this is worth it. And I need to do it now.
Yeah.
If you can get to that spot with a specific creative project, don't lose it and ride it to the end. Because that's sometimes, in my experience, it's the only way to actually see a real significant thing through.
Is just to put your booster jets on and go full bore, full steam ahead.
So like when I made my movie, I was already what would it have been? I think at around the end of 2018, I was already like not doing well. I would have been about 12 years in LA. And I was already thinking like, this isn't going well. I feel worse every year. It's harder every year.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anywhere. If anything, I feel like I'm going backwards a little bit professionally.
Yeah.
I might need to call it. Because I do have that practical, logical side of me that my parents couldn't help but, stick in me.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I'm looking at 33, 34, 35. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm working Postmates and shit so I can make little short films with my friends. I gotta get a life going here. So that stuff's in the back of my head those whole first 13 years too. So by the end of 2018, I was like, I'm doing bad. I might need to get out of here. I might need to just give up and move on.
So you might have just need time away.
I might have, and I was willing to consider that, but I knew from the beginning, from that point around the end of 2018, I knew that I should be open to both. I should I might need to get away for a little while, but if I do leave, I should also be have a backup prepared plan if it does turn permanent. I could go back to Oregon for a little while with both options in play, basically. And that felt like the right way to do it.
Yeah.
And then from there, I decided, well, if it does end up being for good, I need one fucking thing that I can hang my little hat on. Look at this thing I did. Like you were talking about with your stand-up special. I need this thing, this one thing that I did. It's whatever. I don't even care if it's that good, but I did it and it's there and you can watch it and I did it. Yep. I need to make a movie. I need to figure out how to make a movie. So I hit that mentality and I just ran with it.
Yeah.
I ended up making the movie in April of 2019.
How long did it take to
my
film?
35th birthday weekend.
Oh, nice.
It took 6 days,
okay.
Which is nuts. It was all favors.
It was all time.
It was all friends working for $50 a day, and we found a bunch of weird, cheap locations and stuff.
Yeah.
And I did it. And around the time I was getting close to being done with editing it, I was gone. I was back in Oregon. Got the hell out of there. And now I've reached the same point with this new film idea. I have the idea I came up with wrapped around that location. It's what about a getaway birthday party? It's a 40th birthday party, so they rented this destination in Joshua Tree. Oh, guess what? My 40th birthday is in April.
Yeah,
I shot Derek's Dead on my 35th birthday.
There you go. I love that.
So once I had that, and once the fun of that version of it kicked in, how fun would that be if I actually really quickly threw this together and actually pulled it off on my actual 40th birthday party?
That would add so many fun layers.
That's such a fun idea and a fun story, especially coming off doing Derek's Dead on my 35th birthday, 5 years later, the new one. Once the fun of that hit, I still know full well that's unlikely, but it's just something fun to keep me going. Who knows? Hey, where are we at here? If I have a shareable script by the end of the week, who knows?
Yeah.
All of a sudden I have a pitchable script by the end of the month. And then we've got all of March to try to find some money, and there we go.
When's your birthday?
April 6th.
Okay, so it's crunch time,
Less
baby.
than 2 months away. So it's extremely unlikely still, but I kind of just told that whole story to throw out that to kind of further solidify that idea of you got to find that it's got to click. You got to have that light bulb around a specific idea of this is it. This is good and this is worth it. And I need to do it. Once you find that, stick with it and just ride it until the thing's done. Even if it means, changing plans a little bit, don't lose that mentality about it. Even if I don't pull this off on my birthday in 2 months, I could go check out the location on my birthday in 2 months.
Yeah, that got you going.
While we look for money, because I'll have the script done by then. Exactly. And to your point just there, it will have gotten me to the point where I finish a script at the very least.
That's the hardest part, honestly.
This mentality will leave me with at least a 75, 80-page script, and that's sick.
Yeah. Dude, I found in the pandemic, I wrote an 8-episode TV show for
I remember that.
myself, and it's it felt so good to put out something. Like you said with comedy, there's an ephemeral aspect to it. It just floats into the ether, and it's gone then forever. But when you write a script, I have 8 episodes I can show someone. I have full stuff like that I can share with somebody. I have a couple movies that I've started, and it's I wish I was in the spot to get those movies going. But I'm in this other thing. I'm doing the podcast, 5-minute workouts, that kind of stuff. What did I see? Lars von Trier. How do you feel about Lars von Trier?
I forget. I always forget who did what or what each person's thing is. He's a film director,
filmmaker. Yeah, Danish, part of the Dogma movement. So they were he did The Idiots, which was one of the first ones, and it was it's an interesting watch. Watch The Idiots someday. Okay. He's also made that one on a soundstage with Nicole Kidman. And he's so self-aggrandizing, but I'm still just fascinated by him. I almost went to Denmark to do a thesis on him my final year of college. I got accepted to go, but I was I just want to stay home. But he said a movie idea should be like a pebble in your shoe. And I really like that idea. It's it's there and it has to get out.
Yeah.
I can't live with it in there. That would be untenable. There's no way I could continue doing life with a pebble in my shoe forever. It's like, you got to get it out.
Yeah.
And it just speaks to that idea of like having to get it out pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And he like sat down, that you hear about all these directors who wrote the script in a weekend at the Marriott or whatever, and that kind of thing. I love that idea, but like, that's so much work.
Yeah.
Like that's so hard to do, writing 90 pages of something, unless you're just flying.
Well, if you have the whole story broken out, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I like the Waititi approach too. He's like, I just like write 5 or 6 scenes and then I kind of lazily glue them together with other scenes.
I do think the degree to which you do have to write a horseshit draft first
Uh-huh.
is huge, and it took me until like 6 months ago to really truly understand and get there mentally. Like, this doesn't matter, just fucking spill it. It's trash. As I'm writing stupid tangent back and forth between 2 characters, I'm like, this is stupid. This scene should be over. It doesn't matter. Keep going. Yeah. And then even if you get to a point where like, wait, this part where she was going to turn out to be the villain, that doesn't actually make sense. It doesn't matter. Just fucking write it. Just write it. You can fix it and change it later. Just write it. Once you have a bunch of pages of bullshit, you can read back through and it'll start to click. And that's what happened with this one I'm writing. I had the last couple of things I've tried to write, I had a super, super loose idea of it in my head, which also is important. I like to have some sort of skeleton in my mind before I go to the keyboard.
For sure.
But once I did, I just started writing this bullshit, and I was like, I wasn't even naming people. It was friend A, friend B, friend C, and then this one and that one and the X. And then as I wrote, I got a version of it that was 35 pages. And then as I went to kind of go back to the top and start over and start blowing it out, I was like, wait, I got too many friends, and this should be 2. Oh, but this guy could be that one guy that has that recurring joke. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So now it's kind of just 4 of them. And then all of a sudden, once you have a 35 bullshit pages to go back and read through, you'll get better ideas about what to do with it from there that you wouldn't have thought of. I wouldn't have thought like, oh, this guy can actually be this guy that has that running gag. This friend can have the running gag, and then it reduces the number of people I have to keep alive in the scene. Oh, this makes a lot of sense. Here we go. And that's kind of like, that guy's kind of like this one guy I know. Perfect. I'll write it in his voice, and then boom. And now all of a sudden I'm writing a whole 5-page scene because I understand that character better. But I wouldn't have gotten to that point of understanding that character better if I hadn't written that bullshit the week before.
Right.
So that total horseshit draft is important. And I think what turned it for me and made it start to make more sense and be easier is actually enjoying it, enjoying how bad that draft is. And just like, nobody has to see this. This is just something I can work off of. And it's just to feel like I'm moving forward and I'm being productive on this idea. And it's for sparking other ideas. And like, you just got to do it. You just got to do it and have fun with it. And like, even like just being goofy with like the scene description. And then, whatever, this guy shows up and he's a piece of shit. Here we go. Next scene. Yeah. You can just like write it exactly specifically like that. Like just make little jokes to yourself. Like, whatever. Here's a scene where this guy gets mad because she did something stupid. Next. Blah, 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 blah. You're getting something there to then expand from.
Totally. I think in the early drafts you get lost in the weeds, and that's what stops you. And it doesn't have to. I think what Tarantino's like, I write a script as a piece itself. So whenever I read it back or someone else reads it back, it's interesting to read. And so I really like that. I've read so many books on screenplays and watched so many videos by directors. I love an auteur. I love a writer director. I love watching a career grow and develop. It's one of my great joys in life. I truly love it. And like Waititi, I'm so excited to watch his stuff. Jordan Peele, I'm so excited to watch his career grow, and another Waititi something or other was like, write your script, do whatever you can to get it out. Do anything you can to write it. Put it in a drawer for 10 years, don't look at it, read it once, burn it, write it again.
Funny.
And so it's very similar to the idea that you're talking about, just on a greater scale. He used 10 years in the example that I saw. But I just love that idea. And it's the same with comedy. because there's so many times you look at a joke, or I'll look at a joke or in an old notebook and be like, I was 1 year in trying to talk about this. That is a stupid thing for a brand new comic to try to do. But
Yeah.
now you feel so much more empowered to be able to do the things you were trying to do. Your skills they haven't caught up with your taste, but they've gotten closer to it.
Yeah.
And it takes so much time for that, because I like my taste, but my skills are nowhere near what my taste,
Yeah, my skills won't allow me to pull off my taste.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question. I was chatting with Tess and her friend the other day about, like, what's your movie? If you could take any movie and make it have been your movie,
Oh no.
it's kind of like that joke question. I think somebody on another podcast, if I forget what podcast, maybe Good One, but like, if you could have any movie be your movie, what would it be?
That's tough, dude. I have no idea how to even answer, because I feel like I don't even know where to go. Gosh, I'm trying to think of the stuff I like. I mean,
do you want to hear mine?
Yeah.
Just to help you kind of get mine. It took me a while. I was like, okay, Eternal Sunshine. I love Eternal Sunshine. That's tops to the list. But it's Her. It's Her.
Sure. Cool.
Her is like the number one movie for me. I love Her so hard. And it's such a gorgeous film. And it hits on so many things that I care about. And I love seeing discussed and explored, that I can't think of a movie that's more satisfying to me in so many ways.
It's interesting. Yeah. See, like, I think I specifically went to, like, I didn't even consider the possibility that in this fantasy example, I'm capable of anything. So I was like, what's a movie I like that I could maybe kind of pull off?
No.
That's where I went.
Lord of the Rings, Two Towers.
No, that's where I went, which is funny. And I'll enter that first, but maybe we'll come back to the fantasy version. Because now that I'm on that, now that I've gotten to that mindset, I was like, I'd love to make, like, I love the movie Goon. It's one of my favorite sports movies, the hockey movie with Sterling's guy.
Yeah. Who wrote it? Was that a
Jay
Did
Baruchel.
Jay write it?
Possibly I think sometimes I feel like I want to call it my favorite movie. I don't like picking absolute favorites. I think it's unnecessary.
Wow.
But one of my favorites is Hell or High Water with Chris Pine and what's his name? That other guy that's always amazing. Bridges, yeah. But then the other brother, I always forget his name, but he's amazing at everything. He's always just a little psycho. I love that movie.
So good.
And I think I look at a movie like that and I love it for what it is, but I also look at it and I think, I bet I could make a really funny version of this.
Totally.
And that's my reaction to a lot of movies, especially going back to, like, the Duplass brothers. And I'm a big Joe Swanberg guy. And all those other kind of mumblecore adjacent people. I watched a lot of their stuff and I like it for the most part. And it is inspiring because it does seem achievable. But when I watch those more mumblecore movies, I watch them and I'm going, it would be so easy to make this so funny. Like, and I think that's the thing I feel like it might be the thing I'm most confident in, is my ability to write funny dialogue, funny banter. So maybe that's why I respond to those movies so well, is because they're very simple. They're very real life. They're very grounded and sincere and natural. And the only way you can do that is by making them very easy to make. They're very just simple, the production of it all. So it's very achievable. When I watch those things, it's like it's achievable. I could make something like this, and guess what? I could make it really funny.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that no one's doing that. I'm sure people are. I'm not thinking of it. But I feel like not enough people, if any people, are making really funny mumblecore movies. People try, but none of them, I don't think anybody's hitting both. I don't think anybody's doing, like, proper, grounded, realistic, and still actually very funny. There's not many versions of it that I can think of.
Was it Drinking Buddies? Was that the Jake Johansson and
Joe Swanberg? Yeah.
Anna Kendrick?
Anna Kendrick and Olivia Munn and what's his name from Office Space? Olivia Munn? No, Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde. Yeah. A very good example. One of the best of that genre, in my opinion. That genre, that
kind of the apex of that
generation. Right? So that was Joe Swanberg, one of my guy. And he does a lot of stuff with Jake Johnson, who's pretty much my favorite talent, my favorite actor.
Didn't he make a movie recently, Jake Johnson?
He did, and it's not that good. But it was. I love the concept. I love that he went for it. He's good in it. They just made some choices I thought were wrong. That again is like a fun, like, oh, this guy's like my icon, and I think he like did this wrong. I think I could have done
Right.
it better, which is fun to experience. But they did one. I think it was Swanberg and Jake Johnson. They did one called Win It All. It is absolutely my favorites of that kind of style. It's very indie. It's I don't think it would count as mumblecore. It feels a little more close to a script, but it is still improvised and natural dialogue, and it's got a little
Is
more
he a
plot.
gambler?
Yeah, he's a gambling addict. So it's got a little more plot than those usually do, and it's got good moments of comedy that
Yeah.
some of them don't have. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
I don't know why it made me think of Good Time as well, but
Yeah.
from the
Super
Safdies.
similar. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Are you a Safdie guy?
Yeah, absolutely. I just watched The Curse. Loved The Curse with Nathan Fielder, and
Oh, I haven't seen. Is it? Oh my gosh,
fantastic.
dude, have you seen Poor Things? Where are you on
I haven't
this
seen Poor
year's?
Things.
Oh my gosh,
I've been
love
lazy
Poor
with the
Things.
movies. I've missed most of them. I saw Barbie, saw
Yeah.
Oppenheimer.
I love that weekend. I wanted to make. I
Yeah.
love movies, so I was like, I gotta go.
You gotta do the
I
Barbie
didn't
time.
in the same day, but I saw them the
Yeah.
same weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't think I did same weekend, but I saw them both. I enjoyed them both.
Oppenheimer, Sloppenheimer, my man.
All the Barbie awards discourse was funny because I remember leaving Barbie. I'm like, that was good. I really liked it.
Yeah.
The Kens were the best part. They were really funny and cool, and they had the dance and the fight. Like, was that on purpose? The Kens were the best part.
Dude.
All the ladies just had to give monologues. The Kens were having fun, dude.
The Gosling Ken, I was floored. That was such
Awesome.
a knockout role, and I was like best supporting actor hands down.
For
That was
sure.
my number one takeaway but the best supporting actor category right now is stacked
Yeah.
AF. It is the most stacked of all the acting categories this year, for sure.
Well, I do want to catch up. I really want to watch The Holdovers and American Fiction. I guess American Fiction is probably not in this year's round of stuff, maybe because
It
just
is,
came
yeah.
out.
It's up for like all the big ones.
Because both of those, just based on just the trailers and clips I've seen and the things I'm hearing, they feel like very classic movies. They feel like a little bit of a throwback, a very recent throwback to kind of 90s, early aughts maybe.
Yep.
They just look like good fucking movies. They're not trying to be anything too specific, or they're not trying to break any ground. They're just good movies.
Ding, 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 man. They're both super
that
good.
Makes me really want to see them.
Really good stories, very watchable. Poor Things, on the other hand, I love a weird as hell movie.
It looks fun.
I had no idea what I was getting into when I went to see it,
Mm-hmm.
and I absolutely loved it. Emma Stone deserves Best Actress for my money,
Nice.
hands down. I have 3 movies left to see, but it's like, oh my gosh, Poor Things just blew me away. I watched 2 or 3 of Yorgos's other films in the same weekend. It just
what
made
were
me
his
so
others
happy.
again?
The Lobster. I didn't watch that again, but I'd seen it before. And Killing of a Sacred Deer.
I liked Lobster, and I hated like the first 10 minutes of Sacred Deer. I hated the dialogue, and I just bailed. I should give it another shot. But there was just like a scene with Farrell and what the young kid in like a diner.
Yeah.
And
it's so weird.
The way they were speaking drove me so insane. I just had to bail.
It is such a freaking weird movie, and I didn't understand how the dialogue was working either. And it doesn't stray too much from that. They move away from it a bit, but again, I had just seen Poor Things, so I was like, I'm in on everything Yorgos has made, so I got to see it now. And so that's the kind of thing that makes me excited to go to movies, is Poor Things and seeing that director and that kind of stuff, because it's like I don't know, let's say a real life Miyazaki movie, feminist Frankenstein. Like it's all these different things rolled into one. I just had no idea what I was getting into, and I was so delighted to go on the ride.
Yeah, I got to see it. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, it's something else. So yeah, I get excited about Oscars and all that kind of stuff. I like watching all the 10 movies or all the big ones and making my picks and that kind of thing. That's like so fun for me.
Nice.
And I'm like very anti Bradley Cooper. This is my weekly rant.
A lot of people are these days.
Are they?
I think he gets a lot of blowback because he's taking himself so seriously.
Yes,
he implemented this no chairs thing that he heard about some other famous David Lynch or I don't know, Kubiak or something. He heard some rumor about some other director that says no chairs on set, so he I'm doing that too. I don't know.
Great. Well, I'm glad that other people are talking smack too, because I felt alone in my disdain for the guy. It's just like reeks of self-importance, and it's like he puts out good work, but it's just not that good. It's not as good as he wants it to be.
Well, and he's clearly just like desperate and fishing. He's not just trying to make something for the sake of making something good. I don't know. There's something else going on that's like very visible. It's very desperate.
Yeah, he wants to enter the pantheon.
Yeah,
You know.
he's desperate to be like important and iconic and whatever.
Okay. Well, that's the vibe that I get off of it as
Yeah.
well, and so I'm glad I'm not the only one within that.
No, I think everybody's turning on him.
Well, we're getting past the hour. I've loved chatting with you. I could talk movies and all of this for a super long time. But kind of the question that I tend to finish on, or towards the end, that I tend to ask is, so if you could give your early self any advice, what would it be? Or what do you wish you knew that you didn't know when you got into the game that you're still in today?
Yeah, I think it would pretty much just be, it's kind of similar to all the stuff we've been talking about, but I think the kind of biggest bit of advice I would try to give myself is just don't worry about what other people are thinking or saying or doing. Don't put as much importance on what everyone else is doing or what they claim is important. Pay attention to yourself, realize who you are, what you want, and most importantly, on top of all of that, or kind of hand in hand with all that, is just be patient with yourself. That if you could just like give yourself some time, you're fucking young, you got a lot of developing and growth to do. It's gonna take time. There's no rush. There's no quick fix. Like you just gotta go through this stuff. So just stay quiet, stay patient, try, listen to yourself, try to be yourself, and don't give as much of a fuck about what other people are doing or saying or what they may or may not think of you. Because that's what held me back for so long. I was constantly scared of being not cool enough, not funny enough, not good enough. So any effort provided the chance to be not good enough, not funny enough, not cool enough. So it was really hard for me to make any efforts because of that. So it was just I was really holding myself back. I mean, it's not that unique to me. It's a lot of people talk about it. My worst critic was myself, or whatever those kinds of phrases. It's very true. The hardest person on me, the thing that has gotten the most in my way is my own head. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So just like focus. Do you find you stay? Don't worry about them. Don't blah 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 blah. You know.
It's focus on Curt.
I wouldn't have heard it. I wouldn't have listened to it or took the advice if 40-year-old Curt went back to 22-year-old Curt and said all that stuff. 22-year-old Curt would go, "You crazy man."
Yeah,
I would not listen. I would not, even if I did, I wouldn't know how to implement it. I was pretty lost, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's not uncommon either. It's really not for the youth to just do their thing and think they know it all, because they know a little more than they used to, and that's super empowering. That feels exciting. Was there something, an event or anything, or any practice or actions that you took, intentionally or not, that helped you get to this point? More on that idea of like, I got to focus on myself more and be patient and kinder to myself.
I mean, I do look back and I do give myself credit for still trying one way or the other, even when there was large gaps between significant efforts. I did keep trying. So I am able to retrospectively give myself credit for doing that, knowing how much I was in my head and doubting myself and judging myself and terrified of what other people thought of me. The fact that I still did generally keep trying I'm proud of myself for that. But the more specific and direct and big choice, more specific to your question, was leaving LA and going back to Oregon. Truly, because by then, I mean, I should say too, I'm surprised I haven't brought it up throughout this comedy health podcast. I'm a big therapy guy. I've been going to therapy for years. It's been very helpful for me. I think anyone in the world can benefit from it, no matter how good you think you're doing. I think it's good for anybody. But by the time I was getting ready to get the heck out of here, I was very aware of how much other people's potential opinions of me affected my mood, my mentality, my effort, my confidence, etc. So whether or not I really knew it was that I was doing it specifically because of this, when I did it, completely separating myself from all of these external forces was huge for me. And then simultaneously reconnecting with roots, reconnecting with family, reconnecting with Oregon. Honestly, too, it sounds terrible. It's kind of too negative, but a big thing I got out of that time back in Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
I did finally know for sure that I didn't have a secondary backup future in Oregon. Because those
Mm-hmm.
entire first 13 years in LA, it was like, well, if it doesn't go well, I can always go back to Oregon.
Yeah.
I got friends there. I like Eugene enough, or maybe Portland or whatever. Oh, there's options. I could always go back to Oregon. But
Mm-hmm.
spending those 2 years there, I was like, no, I don't want to be here.
Not for me.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I got people and things to do back in LA. I got to go back. So that knowing that it wasn't going to be enough, Oregon wasn't going to be enough, was huge.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, like I said, completely separating myself from all of these thousands of external forces,
Mm-hmm.
taking the shape of all these people I know in comedy that I think are cool and funny. It completely separating from all of them, so I can quiet what's going on up here and just focus on what I think and what I want.
Yeah.
Did wonders.
I bet. And I'm guessing the voices are so much louder in LA, those external forces.
Yes, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people here I want to respect and like me and be my peers.
Yeah, for sure.
So
No,
what if I tried to do something and it wasn't funny and they didn't like it? Oh
yeah.
no.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Right.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think the thing that a lot of people say and realize is that not nearly as many people are paying attention to you as you think.
Nobody
And it
is. Nobody's thinking about me for a fucking second.
and it doesn't, yeah, and so that's why you just have to kind of keep the nose down and
Yeah.
keep doing your thing.
Trying.
Just don't stop, man. If you love the thing you're doing, then good. You're doing a service for yourself and for others.
Yeah. And
And I love that.
the more consistently, the more frequently you try, the better you get.
Heck yeah, man. I
Practice,
love that.
practice, practice.
It doesn't make perfect, but fuck
You get as close
perfect.
as you can.
You get, yeah, you want to make something you're proud of,
Yeah.
and that comes with a lot of time and patience and effort, intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super cool. Well, I'm glad that you're back down in LA, because I remember you were like you were talking about it. You're like, I got to get back. It felt like that episode, season 3 of Lost or whatever. It's like,
Yeah,
we
we
got
got
to
to go
go back to the island.
Yeah. I'm a real
And you're,
jack.
yeah, you are a jack, just trying to save everybody on that
Right.
island.
Yeah. Even though I'm not properly qualified and I'm maybe an alcoholic.
Yeah. Are you drinking these days?
Yeah, but much less than I used to, which is great. Another thing that came out of Oregon was I became a weed guy. I get high all the time now.
Oh, there
And
you
it's
go.
been lovely. It's really been nice for me for the same reasons. It quiets my mind and quiets all those
Yeah.
external voices.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it does help me a lot creatively, but
Uh-huh.
not in the corny ways people make fun of. It's not like, oh, I'm high, I'm having all these crazy ideas. What about time travel? But it's not
Yeah.
travel, whatever. It does help me creatively in the sense that it quiets all the bullshit and I can
Uh-huh.
hone in and focus on one thing in front of me for like an hour. And then all of a sudden I wake up like I was blacked out, but I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, I just edited that whole thing. I forgot what time it is.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about
Yeah.
anything. And then it just makes everything else more fun. I just have more fun watching bullshit and
Yeah.
sleeping
Chilling
is
out.
nicer. I don't know. It's really
Yeah.
improved my life. And
That's
then
great.
it's been easy to drink less because of that. Because it's like,
Yeah.
because I just do edibles and like those. If you're going to a spot, like I got a spot near me that has all these deals, they're very cheap, man. And
Yeah.
the high I can get from one edible is the equivalent of like one good drunk
Night.
in terms of the feeling.
Yeah.
No hangover.
Right.
An eighth of the cost, maybe financially. Like it's so much cheaper. It's so much healthier.
Yeah.
It's really
Way
nice.
better.
It's so much less
Yeah.
dangerous to your
Well, that's
body
great.
and to the public.
Well, the advice from Curt is keep going and do
Get
some
high.
edibles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on, Curt. Well, I really appreciate chatting with you today.
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks
I'm
for having me
super
on, man.
stoked.
It was real fun.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, you too, dude. And yeah, find Curt online, Curt Neill, 2 L's at the end.
Curt with a C, Neil, Neill. It's like O'Neill without the O.
2 first names. That's
I know. What does that mean?
yeah.
You can't trust me?
Yeah, that was in Teen Wolf or something. I think they said never trust a man with 2 first names, but I
It's-
trust you, Curt. I don't know why.
It's not bad advice. I'll say that much.
Right on. Well, thanks again, Curt. I
Yeah.
appreciate you and the work that you're doing, and I'll watch your movie and I'll let you know what I think about it.
Please, that'd be great. No pressure, regardless.
Right on. All right. Have a good one, my man.
You too, Bill. Later.
Later.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tibersi.
What's up, everybody? It's Rudy again. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation you just listened to between me and my good friend and filmmaker extraordinaire, Curt Neill. And now I am going to give you my Oscar rundown. I'm going to give you the rundown about what I think about the Oscars, from the worst to the best of the 10 Best Picture nominees. At number 10, I think none of you who know me will be surprised when I have Maestro at number 10. Maestro, more like Weistro. Come on, Bradley Cooper. B. Coops, we thought you were better than this. We had high hopes for you. And then you give us this schlock, this Oscar bait schlock? Oh my gosh. It's like, what if I made a movie where I was the star and I wrote it and I directed it and I was the best at music? What if that was the whole movie? Oh, and I'm gay and I'm the best and I make it all so cool. I don't know. I just am not buying his whole thing lately. You heard a bit from Curt and I'm glad I'm not alone. Anyways, that's number 9. 10. Number 9, and now let me also say this. Movies this year, solid movies. I've seen all 10, and they're all watchable. They're all movieable, but I'm just going to give you my rankings for no good reason, just because I love the Oscars and keeping up to them. Keeping up to date, keeping up with them, keeping up to them, all of it. At number 9, I'm going Oppenheimer. It was good. I watched it. I got something from it. He made me cry when a bomb went off. That was neat. But it was just so long and so loud. And I don't need all that. At number 8, I'm giving it to Barbie. Very good. Very fun. Super fun. Very enjoyable. I had a blast. I did the whole Barbenheimer weekend. I didn't see him the same day, but I did participate. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. Gosling. Oh my gosh. Gosling as Ken. So good. So good. So Barbie, solid watch. Number 7, The Holdovers. Super solid movie. Really good. Enjoyable. Good story. Well told. Beautiful. Felt like you're drinking a cup of tea in the 70s. Or having a Miller High Life at an old diner. It was good. It was watchable, enjoyable. Giamatti's the man. Number 6, really good movie, Anatomy of a Fall. I put Anatomy of a Fall at 6. Just like you're in this like French court room, and the court is so different from what we know here, and so I just really enjoyed that. Performances were awesome. Huller, Sandra nailed it. Wouldn't be mad if she won, but I don't think she will. Number 5, another amazing female performance, Killers of the Flower Moon. That's what I enjoyed it. But again, like, why are we doing these 3 hours, man? I don't need a 3-hour movie all the time, and they're all getting there. So, you know, I know Scorsese listens to this podcast regularly. So, Marty Scoes, you could have chopped an hour off. I don't know. But big props to Gladstone. Leo did a good job too. And let's see, number 4, probably higher on my list than a lot of lists, is Past Lives. I'm a Korea guy. I lived in Korea for like almost a decade. Some of this movie took place in Seoul in 2012, and I lived there at that time, so major brownie points. Oh, also fun note, I filmed a 5-minute workout while I was going to see this movie, like waiting outside before the movie started, and day 16, the one where several batteries die. Like, my car battery died, my timer battery died, my microphone battery died. Like, everything died. But the movie was great. I even forgot my remote control for the timer there. Went back the next day. It was in the movie theater at I'm such a goose boost. So Past Lives, good. Watch it. Korea, yay. Just kind of a good what if story kind of a deal. I don't know. I just was nice, hit some really nice notes, and highly enjoyable, and not it wasn't 500 hours to watch, so I like that too. And the movies all this year were pretty watchable, pretty darn good. There's a lot of good movies out this year. Number 3, last one I saw, Zone of Interest. Holy cow, what a movie. Like, didn't know what this was really, but I had an idea, and it was good. Like, the sound in it is haunting. Like, it's like this idyllic kind of vision, but then the sound, they're like friggin' next to Auschwitz. So it felt kind of like a Bob and Tom sketch almost. Like, that's what I thought when I was watching it. I was like, and they're next to Auschwitz. Like, that was the punchline for every single scene. But it sucked because it made me cry for a Nazi. But to be fair, they gave him the name Rudolph, and he loved his horse. So what am I going to do? Not cry at that? Bullshit. Number 2, I have American Fiction. So good. Loved it. Jeffrey Wright nailed it. Sterling K. Brown, super solid. Just a great story. I loved what it did, what it talked about all over the board. And I just really appreciated the talking about some of the questions or explorations of the creative life that we live. And it was awesome and hilarious and heartfelt. And it really straddled a lot of lines super well. So I'm excited to see it again at some point. American Fiction, great. And my top one winner hasn't changed. Poor Things. Oh my gosh, Poor Things. So I loved it. Here's the thing. I had no idea what I was getting into when I went to see it. And it was just a friggin' blast. I barely knew anything about it. And I'm not even a big Emma Stone fan, or wasn't aware of Yorgos, the director, very much before this. And then I'm like, oh my God, Yorgos, I love Yorgos. So that's the big one for me. I friggin' loved Poor Things. Please go see. It's like so good. Feminist Frankenstein. Loved it. Let's go over quickly the best acting ones. So let's go. Actress in a supporting role, I'd give it to Divine Joy Randolph in the Holdovers. That was good. Yeah, go for that. Actress in a leading role, you heard what I said. I'm Emma Stone all the way, but Lily Gladstone could certainly win it as well. But Emma Stone just blew me away in Poor Things. Actor in a supporting role, this is the most stacked one. Sterling K. Brown, Robert De Niro, Robert Downey Jr., Ryan Gosling, Mark Ruffalo. Look at that. Just nailing it. All of them. I hope Gosling or Ruffalo take it, but I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to take it. And with actor, I don't give a shoot about B. Coop. I didn't see Reston, Giamatti, and the Holdovers. I would say I hope Giamatti or Wright win it, but I think Murphy for Oppenheimer. I hope Oppenheimer doesn't win a bunch, man. It's just not my cup of tea. It's like last year, I loved Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I was just annoyed that it won so much. Just all of this stuff. I'm like, ugh. Oh, what else? Directing, got to give it to Yorgos or Glazer. Glazer was amazing. Oh man, directing is so strong this year. I really did appreciate all of them. Let's see, where's the writing? I like the writing. I'm gonna look up writing. Best picture, short film. I haven't seen all the animated ones. Okay, adapted screenplay. We got American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Zone of Interest. What would I give it to? I don't know. They're all so good. Poor Things or American Fiction. That's where I'm at. Original screenplay, and also, it's so crazy that adapted screenplays, those, like, whatever. Sorry. Right. Original screenplay: Anatomy of a Fall, Holdovers, Maestro, May December, Past Lives. Oh, I don't know. I would give it to Anatomy of a Fall. How they nailed so much. There's so much of it is about language as well, and it takes place in multiple languages, and so to write that and have that grasp of multiple languages and make it click like it did was amazing. I'd give it to Anatomy of a Fall, but who knows? Gosh, if Cooper won Best Original Screenplay, I would shit all over the ground, my pants, myself. But he's not gonna. But I give a special audience award to Curt Neill, filmmaker, podcast guest extraordinaire Curt Neill. for his movie Derek's Dead, available on Amazon Prime. I told you I'd give you the recap, and I am gonna. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I watched it with my mom, and we found it on Amazon Prime, and it was just a blast. It was a fun movie. Like he said, he talked about, I think it's kind of cool to get the director's insight and then go watch the movie. So like he was talking about just a lot of people standing around or talking back and forth to each other. And I get that, but it was fun. And like he said, he writes fun dialogue, and the movie and the acting, the performances bouncing off each other were a good time. So I can definitely say I would recommend Derek's Dead. So, and I'm not just saying that because Curt was on the podcast this week, but it probably didn't hurt. So good job, Curt. Didn't hurt Curt, but he did kind of get hurt this week if you listen. So I hope you're healing up, buddy. And thank you for being the guest on the Oscar edition of Jokes and the Gym with Rudy Tibersi. I'll see y'all next time.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tibersi.